How you doing, guys? SBtalksports here. Like, share, subscribe. Hey, yo, check it out. It's SBtalksports here. Like, share, subscribe. Join the SBtalksports movement. So as we just seen that LaMarcus Aldridge went to the Nets, Blake Griffin went to the Nets. Then now Andre Drummond has went to the Lakers, and a lot of people have been complaining. Kendrick Perkins, who complained on Twitter, and I obviously responded to him on Twitter. He said something like this. Something about those super teams don't mind me though. And I responded as super teams, quote unquote, don't exist. It was just a term used to her King James legacy. LeBron James, but I didn't call him King James, that's his Twitter name. Nobody's falling for that. Stop using it. A lot of stars been on the same team together since the NBA started. Hashtag real takes over fake debates. You know my slogan. And hashtag SBtalksports. And I said what I said. Do better at Kendrick Perkins. That's true. Then also we had Stephen A. Smith making a video talking about like, oh my God, y'all don't want to compete. How many more pieces do you need?
What's going to be next if you're the Brooklyn Nets? I mean, this is almost like buying a championship, for crying out loud. Blake Griffin comes. LaMarcus Aldridge has now decided to go. We don't even know if they're going to go after Andre Drummond next. I mean, you want a championship. I got all of that. You should be the favorites. KD, James Harden, Kyrie, Lethal Weapon 3. But damn. I mean, what about competition? What about competition? You just going to get everybody now? Everybody?
So I'm here to debunk that narrative of that super teams and the pretty much like a one team dominating thing, or about not having competition, you know, a parity in the league. Because my point is this: the league has always been dominated by certain teams. This is not nothing new. History's been repeating itself for the NBA. The one time that I can say that it really didn't happen was maybe like in like what I wrote down in my notes, what the 70s. The 70s, like the only time was like various different teams making it to the finals. But the league exploded more television wise when like Magic Johnson and Bird, and they kept making it to the finals. Then when Jordan took it over to the next level when they dominated. So it is what it is. And I'm calling 100% cap. Like I said, real takes over fake debates, man. Y'all making this fake debate just to be saying anything on TV to push the narrative. And that's where it comes with the problem with all the shows, and a lot of fans push to the YouTubers, sport broadcasters like myself, because you give them the real, and it seems like you forcing a narrative on them, and then you making people believe. Then you have people coming on my show or my other people's shows that I know saying wild things because they just coming off saying what you guys are saying on TV, and that's not true. But you know, we're gonna break it down and dissect. You know, it's Surgeon SB. I left my sensei robe. It would have been Sensei SB to teach you guys something. But okay, Sensei SB is still in the building. I just don't have my robe on right now. You know, so let's go back. Let's go back to the history of time, and we're gonna build and dissect everyone, and then we're gonna break each one of these down. So let's go back when the NBA started, around the Bill Russell era. During the Bill Russell era, we already know he got 11 rings, so he completely, utterly dominated his old era. All I know is only been like 10, 12 teams in the league, but it don't matter. He still dominated. But don't worry, it's more teams that's going on down the list that we can definitely dissect too later in the years. So let's start with the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics of the 60s was entered the 60 times, 9 of the 10 finals during the 60s. So that's one team utterly dominated the whole time. And if you want to go to their team to be exact, hold on, let me turn my notes. Bill Russell teammates, he had Bob Cousy, Tom Heisman, Bill Sherman, K.C. Jones, Sam Jones, Frank Ramsey, and John Havlicek. All these players are Hall of Famers. 4 of Bill teammates made the NBA top 50 at 50s. Come on, man. Now, like I said, on to the next one. Like I said, in the 70s, it was a little different parity. You could go look at the list. I didn't write it down because obviously, I told y'all, it was different teams like every other year. Not one team really dominated in the 70s. Also, next we have the 80s, the Bird and Magic era. Boston and the Lakers dominated the 80s, completely dominated. Out of what, Boston or the Lakers, I'm going to tell you how they dominated. Boston or the Lakers, if they wasn't playing against each other, one of the teams in the finals in every finals of the 80s. One or the other, always. So if they didn't play against each other, either Boston was in and the Lakers didn't make it, or the Lakers was in and Boston didn't make it. Every finals in the 80s. But the teams would probably stack. Okay, let's see who Magic Johnson had as his teammates. He had Michael Cooper, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, Byron Scott, AC Green, Jamal Wilkins, Norman Nixon, and Bob McAdoo. A lot of legendary names on this list, but let's make it even better. Magic, Kareem, and Worthy, they won 3 rings, and all of them won Finals MVP. Not one person dominated just being the one Finals. Each and every single player or one of those guys dominated and was a Finals MVP. Now let's look at Bird's teammates. He had Dave Cowens, Tiny Archibald, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Dennis Johnson, Bill Walton. 5 of those players made the top 50 list in the 90s, in 1996. That's great. They're not top 50 players of all time. So that's a lot of talented players on that roster. And a lot of these guys that's on the media nowadays really fought this problem because when I say these are two sides, it's two agendas. They're mad because players are actually taking control of their destiny, which I feel like, why is that a problem? The NFL is going through a problem with their players not being happy with what they got going on because they don't have player empowerment. And then also, you fall in the gap because, like I said, they're trying to use a super team narrative because super teams don't exist. It's been stacked teams for years. It's been it's been stacked for years. Like, come on, guys, we got to stop. Kill the super team narrative. Super teams don't exist. We're not doing that. Go back and look at the NBA. Majority of the teams always had a bunch of all-stars on the team. They always stacked the deck. It's rare. It's rare. If you had to compare the championship reigns of teams that were stacked and teams were like not really stacked, like the Dallas Mavericks team, it's like probably like a 10%, maybe 1% less than that. The teams that won the championship. So we're not doing that. Next team on the list, the Chicago Bulls. You know my Bulls. They dominated in the 90s. They was in 6 out of the 10 finals appearances in the 90s. In 2 of the years, Michael Jordan, their best player, was out, and the Bulls almost still made it to the finals. Now, out of all the legends, because a lot of people try to complain about Jordan competition, but out of all the legend teams, I think Jordan probably would have the less help. But still, he had a Dennis Rodman, who's probably the one, if not the best defender in the league, and then Scottie Pippen, that was a top 5 player in the 90s, who was the best two-way player in the league, and with Michael Jordan being the best player and better known as the GOAT to some people's eyes. They dominated the 90s. Period. And then, like I said, Michael Jordan teammates, you got Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, Horace Grant, Steve Kerr. Jordan had the least talent out of everybody, but he still dominated his era. At the end of the day, the team was stacked. They dominated. At the end of the day. Next, we got the early 2000s. Now, this is probably one of the eras where you guys probably see this and think, okay, it was more balanced around this time. You got the T-Max, you got the Shaq Kobe, you got your Tim Duncans, you got your KGs. You got all this. You got the Pistons when they had their little run. Let me tell you this. From 2000 to 2010, the Lakers and Spurs dominated. The Lakers and Spurs dominated. 9 out of the 10 finals from 2000 to 2010, the Lakers and Spurs was in every finals besides one. And the one finals they wasn't in was the Mavericks versus the Heat. And that's when D-Wade became Flash, point blank period. But, let's look at the tail of the tape of the teammates that he had. Hold on, I think it's on this page. Let me see. All right, Lakers. Shaq, Lakers, early 2000 Lakers. We had Shaq, Kobe, Glenn Rice, Robert Horry, Rick Fox, just to name a few. And then they was old, but still here when they stacked the deck and brought all these guys in, like we seeing with the Nets when they added Gary Payton and Karl Malone to their team. Then the later Lakers, when Shaq was gone, when Kobe by himself, was Kobe, Powell, Odom, Bynum, a young Trevor Ariza, which was pretty good. Now the Spurs. The Spurs had a good run. They had Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, David Robinson, Kawhi Leonard, Bruce Bowen, just to name a few. That's a nice stacked team. And the San Antonio Spurs team, when they was at their peak, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, and Tony Parker never lost under 50 games in their whole career. That was a nice team. They literally was in every finals. Stop acting like we don't see teams be stacked and teams dominate. This is nothing new. Don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning Perk basketball knowledge. He know more than me. He played in a league, but we're not gonna make these fake debates about super teams. This been going on. Now let's go to what a lot of you guys know presently known now from the 2010s. And I'm gonna be 100% real. I can't even say a necessary team, but I can say one necessarily player. Every LeBron James team made the finals 9 out of 10 times. The only time we didn't see it was when the Raptors won. The Raptors won and LeBron was hurt that one year. But LeBron made every final in the 2010, 9 out of 10. And LeBron notable teammates, we're gonna go. For the Heat side, we had D-Wade, Bosh, Ray Allen, Mike Miller, Shane Battier, Udonis Haslem, Rashard Lewis. And don't always try to say, oh, these guys was bum, they was washed, this, and that. Because the same thing goes for LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge just came off the bench. Blake Griffin was just washed. He didn't dunk in 2 years. This is what y'all got to understand. If these players were still as good as they label themselves, they wouldn't be getting bought out to be able to get on this team. It's the reason why they are buying them out of their contracts. So stop with these false narratives, guys. We got to stop doing this. But like I said, that's what he had with the Heat for the Cavs. He had Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Derrick Rose, Tristan Thompson, Amon Shumpert. That's a nice little out of players. Then also when they tried to make their little run with adding all these guys, they added D Wade, Derrick Rose, Isaiah Thomas, which was nice at the time. We didn't know he was going to come back from the injury because he was finna get max dollars, but he hurt his hip. Then we had Jay Crowder. Now, I know what everybody probably saying watching the video finna say, but the Cavs team didn't work. That's gonna be my next point. Just because you signed all these guys who were good or used to be good, so you thinking of their old name or how they used to be, because a lot of things changed during that time. A lot of things changed during a time period. That's what you guys gotta see and understand. See and think, see and think. I know I hit my head first, so I said see. Think and see and understand what's going on, guys. We have to. Just because the Nets signed all these guys doesn't mean it's going to work. Don't worry. We seen the video of KD. KD is happy. He said he got all bucket getters. That's what he wanted. That's the type of team he wanted to build around. But every team has been stacked before. Does it mean it's going to work? No. We seen the Lakers try to stack it. Gary Payton the ring, Karl Malone the ring, brought all these guys in with Shaq and Kobe to get a ring. They lost. Same thing with the Cavs. The Cavs brought all those guys in. It didn't work. They got rid of everybody early. And LeBron James still ended up making the finals with that team. But like I said, bringing up all these guys doesn't mean it's going to work. Super teams, like I said, super teams doesn't exist. Super teams don't exist. So get that out your vocabulary, guys. I just really broke down all these teams. So now let's go back into it again before. Let's do a quick recap. Boston, Bill Russell's Boston Celtics dominated. Multitude of Hall of Famers on those teams. 80s, like I said, 70s was the only time it was really parody, like, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of parody. Then go to the 80s, the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird era. They dominated. Then we got to go to the 90s of the Chicago Bulls. They dominated. It was in 6 out of the 10 finals. And we know it wasn't even close with Jordan them knocking out all the finals. Then with the Lakers and the Spurs. The Lakers and the Spurs was in every finals besides one during the time from 2022. They was in all of them. Lakers and Spurs, they dominated that side. Dominated. Imagine, it was a lot of different competition. And then he also had LeBron James led team where he always had at least two or more guys on the team, like a superstar, like a Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, or D Wade and Chris Bosh, which everybody always try to cap and say they was washed. They wasn't. When you play with a team like that, you got to play your role. Your numbers not going to be the same. Because when they first got together, D Wade was a top 5 player. Bosh was a top 10 player. They came together and made it happen. Like I said, the Nets signed a lot of these players. And the Lakers just got Drummond too. Does that mean just because you sign these players you're going to win? No, of course not. Because at the end of the day, we got to see what the product's going to look like on the court. This ain't 2K. Now, don't get me wrong. We're playing NBA 2K. The Nets winning all the time. It's not stopping these guys. It's not happening. We see this happen with the Lakers. They signed a lot of players, old, past their prime, tried to get them a ring and all that. No, it doesn't work out. The Cavs did it too. Where they tried to sign D Rose, D Wade, all these guys. They broke that team up early. They seen it wasn't gonna work. It's necessary. They don't mean that. And we always seen teams dominate the league over time. We broke down every era of basketball. We see teams dominate all the time. So let's stop doing this. Let's stop the super team there. Let's stop crying and complaining about this. Or everybody, I think Mark Jackson even commented on this and said they gonna understand when people start watching the league. Nobody's not gonna stop watching the league. Only time the people will get mad about stop watching the league because the casual fans love to see star players bunch up together. Because guess what? Stuff like this happens. We give things to talk about. The casual fan, real life basketball fans, they understand what's going on in the league and they see what's going on and they already know that this doesn't mean they're going to guarantee them a championship. It's not going to happen at all. It's not. So let's get it together, guys. Let's stop capping. Real takes over fake debates, man. This is a fake debate, man. Let's be realistic and let's dice, like I said, look at it for how it is. Stop going off with these media guys yelling off this jibber jabber to y'all. Said that KD don't want no competition. Like, man, stop that, man. Stop that, man. We not doing that. Because they bash all these players like Reggie Miller, Charles Barkley. They don't get no respect about because they don't win a ring. And they come on, man. Let's stop doing that. So now the players doing what they can to get in the ring, get a ring, or put themselves in a situation to win. It's a problem. I don't understand this. Because when Carmelo stayed in New York, when he could have made the big three with the Heat, he got bashed and said he was selfish and he only wanted the money. But now it's a problem with players coming together to win? Like, come on. You can't have your cake and eat it too, guys. Like I said, real takes over fake debates, man. Stop these false narratives. It's SBtalksports here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Ding the notification bell to be notified whenever I drop videos. Like I said, if you're new, drop that subscribe button. Also, I do live panels. So I have live call-in, live panel, whatever you want. You can be on my live panel and you could be talking on the show too. If you have anything wrong with what I said about this video, drop a comment down below. Let me know why I was wrong at. Tell me why I was right, if you believe it, I was right. If you feel like this is a lot more controversial, we need to go live to really get your point across. I would definitely go live and talk about this. So, like I said, it's SB Talk Sports here. Like, share, subscribe, ding notification bell till we on to the next one. Peace.